Welcome to the Phoenix Recap. We'll be bringing you the match analysis from the Night of Champions as we wrapped up our FC25 series. I have two prominent guests with me here in the studio, one being a new person on this segment. I'll be diving into everything that went out at the Night of Champions, the semi-final and final, as we bring in the live action, tactical minds, mental state that went on at the tournament. It was a day of shocks, heartbreak, but in the end, we had to get our ultimate champions. 8 champions came into this arena, but just one ultimate champion came out. Our star person will be on the Hall of Fame. As I said before, we bring in two names. One you already know before, but the second person being someone who has also participated at the Johnny Minis. Just stay tuned as we bring you all the live action here from the studio. Welcome back to the Phoenix Recap. I told you I had two special guests with us here, and I'll welcome the first one. Yeah, as you might have seen him at the Johnny Minis, Dracarys, aka Italian Mafia. How are you doing today, Dracarys?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me. I've been watching a lot of your episodes, and I'm really excited to be here.
That's great. And our regular on this segment, Chooks Jr., how are you feeling? You are the Night of Champions and you're able to experience it live. But how was it for you at that moment?
For me, it was a wonderful experience, and I really loved the ambience, the passion of the players, and the idea of the tournament, the competition. It was a beautiful experience, full of fun and different emotion. I always want to be here next time.
Just before we dive into the game itself, how will you say the Night of Champions has shaped how people have now seen the esports scene? Because obviously there's always a growth in the esports scene. We see various people coming, like we also mentioned with Zadok and Nonex coming from various parts of Nigeria also to come and compete. But how would you say the FC25 series, how would you say there was the growth and improvement as the tournament went on?
Personally, I feel like a lot of new faces, like you just said, like Zadok. I have never really heard of him in the community, and I was surprised that a player from an unknown player coming in and claiming a spot in the Night of Champions is actually amazing. And coming in from Calabar, all the way from Calabar, so that tells you like a lot of players have been getting awareness, about it, and it's quite nice, seeing that the esports scene is, coming up, is rising, it's growing. So it's actually very good. Yeah.
The growth is what we want to see, and in this game, we'll be diving into the game between Mitch and Nonex first. But how can you speak on Nonex and how he plays, Dracarys?
Yeah, watching the game. I watched the game and I saw that Nonex was actually he was actually very aggressive. And that's actually the way he plays, it's very aggressive. He controlled the game for most parts of the game, but, he wasn't actually quite decisive, especially in the box. But, I have to give props to Mitch, coming against a very experienced player like Mitch. Mitch has been in a lot of, tourneys, both offline, both online, you understand? So he actually played well for his standard. Yeah, I felt like he did pretty well, but he couldn't just, make those final decisions that would have taken him further.
You noted something of how you mentioned before how aggressive he is, but he's not decisive. But in this game, he went 1-0 up at that moment. But what would you say he could have done better coming into that game?
Like I said, he played quite well. Like, he was getting to the box, but he could not make use. Those final decisions was not there. If you look at it, it's 5th minute. He had a very good chance. He had a Trivela with Hurricane, but it was very timed, and I felt like that was the turning point in the game. If he should have scored that goal, like, it was game over.
Not to dwell on Nonex alone.
Okay.
Coming to you, Chooks Jr. Mitch is someone you know quite well. We've analyzed his games before. Well, how would you say he approached this game? Because we saw a different side to his game. So a lot of people that I speak to, they know him for his attacking prowess. But how would you speak to how he approached this tournament, the Night of Champions?
Okay, so coming into this tournament, one major thing I noticed about Michel's tactics was, unlike the 4-4-1-1 he comes with, he came with the 4-5-1, making a very defensive change to his game. And we noticed that he was very conservative and careful in his attack, very cautious. He tried not to make any risky passes and all that, which is not the Michel we know when it comes to attacking and all that. So one thing we can also pick out is, due to the defensive approach of the tactics, he wasn't able to get a lot of goals, but he was able to keep the defensive side well.
Coming back to you, Italian Mafia, speaking about him taking his chances, you noted something about Nonex being too comfortable with the ball at the back. And we see a lot of things, because obviously you can't always boot the ball up front. You eventually lose it if you don't have a proper target man to knock the ball down. But how would you speak at that moment? Because we saw that chance led to a goal from Mitchell.
Yeah, watching the game, like, you have to give props to this to Michel, because one of the reasons you can differentiate a pro player and a casual player, the way they can switch up. If you watch that game, Michel was very, very conservative, especially in pressing. He was trying not to commit too many players forward for the press, right? But if you look at the goal, Nonex, he was too comfortable in the back, trying to pass. But Michel had to, that was when he switched up the tempo and decided to press at that decisive moment. And that was when he got the goal. And you see the finish, easy green time. So, exactly. One chance, one goal. That's when you know it's a top player from Michel, yeah.
Yeah, but at that moment, the game is 1-1. You stated before that Nonex missed a chance with the Trivela where he could have taken the game to 2-1. I want to speak about the mentality that you gamers take into penalty shootouts. What goes through your mind at that moment? Because it's a 50-50 game at that moment. You putting the power shot at a high bar, or you tapping it too low, or you guessing at the wrong side where your opponent is. But what goes through players' minds at that moment when playing the penalty shootout?
For penalties is like a 50-50 game, right? But I feel like every top player have a technique they actually use for penalties. Like, for myself, I have a technique, and there are some certain things I watch out for especially when trying to save a penalty. But all that still boils down to your opponent. You don't know what he's thinking, so you cannot actually predict. Especially a top player like Nonex, you cannot predict what Michel is going to do. You understand? So it's just a 50-50 thing. Yeah.
Coming to you, Chooks, I know you've had experiences even at the journeyman, where there are some episodes where you got knocked out from penalties. What would you say? What would you say is your go-to skill, or we will call it skill, or go-to move when actually approaching these penalty shootouts?
So for me, when approaching penalties, because deep down I know it's a 50-50 chance, and it's a game of luck at that point. It could go either way. So, but for me, what I bring into the penalty is I play to the center a lot, which is a risk. But I feel like most people feel like if you are a good enough player, you might want to go top bins to the wing.
Goalkeeper will always die.
Yes, you want to take it to the wing. You want to take ground. So I emphasize more on middle. I take a strategy where I play my first three to the middle. It is very risky, but surprisingly, it works for me at times.
Some players actually use ChatGPT, because I saw a post online. Someone was using ChatGPT for penalties, and it was very effective.
So
because of the pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking about ChatGPT, the next time we find out how we're speaking about very soon, there's someone they call AI, also one of the players. But just before we go into that, speaking about Mitch himself, personally being here at the tournament, from a personal view, I won't say he played his best at the tournament, or even leading up to the semi-final. But as you guys stated before, you just have to have those one chance and that chance eventually led to a goal for him. But is that a sustainable move when playing tournaments, that you mostly focus on the defensive style, or is something that is still the 50-50 chance, as you guys mentioned, for the penalty shootout?
I feel it boils down to your opponent. You know, because every opponent you face, you need a game plan, right? So I feel like probably Michel, because everybody knows Michel is a very, very good attacking player. But watching the videos, you know, you saw that he was very, very conservative with his approach to the game. So maybe that was his game plan. You never tell, and you can see it was very, very effective for him. So I feel like that was his go-to game plan for that tournament. Yeah. So.
That's great. And yes, that will be all for now for the first semi-final between Mitch and Nonex, the King of Benin. Unfortunately, the King of Benin was knocked out at this round, with Mitch moving to the final. We'll be coming back with the second semi-final between Adefola and, as I mentioned, ChatGPT, Zadok AI is the one Adefola faced in that second semi-final. Stay tuned, more live action. Welcome back to the Phoenix Recap. It's been a great one here in the studio. We've spoken about the first semi-final between Mitch and King Nonex, the King of Benin. But now we're moving on to the second semi-final. This game was one for the ages. Yeah, in the sense that it was a game between, you could say, between experience and a newbie. Yeah. At the Night of Champions. Experience coming from the man Adefola himself and Zadok AI. We mentioned before ChatGPT. This is a man who they will say knows it all, but we'll see if he was able to apply that to his game here, the second semi-final. Italian Mafia, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Looking at this game, how would you say, how would both of you even say experience comes into competitions like this?
Yeah, for experience, yeah, if you look at the whole game in general, you see, I felt like Zadok lost the game to lack of experience. Yeah, because you can see he got a penalty. For me, he rushed that penalty. Like, he should have taken his time, you know, to like put some pressure on Fola. But he just took it and he missed it. Like, he missed a lot of chances in the game. So I felt like the lack of experience actually played a part in his loss. Yeah, so.
But you don't think that penalty could have been his own tactics? Being that immediately the penalty took place, he wanted to take the shot instantly and just clutch up whatever position he's planning on playing. It's just like how we take corner on foot. You want to take it the moment.
There is a game plan to that, but I actually don't feel that was the case, because if you look at the game, right, you see some chances he was rushing, especially as there was a chance he had, I think, towards the end of the game, where he had a one-on-one with the keeper, but he took a heavy touch. So I felt like he was not composed. You know, it was just fast. You know, that was a lack of composure from him. So yeah.
I think one thing I too agree that experience is very important, because as you go for competitions, even just looking at the Johnny Minutes, there are certain people that fell short at some certain stages and they came back and eventually won the competition. But let's dive into the game proper. Speaking to you, Italian Mafia, where speaking about Adefola, there were some things that he was doing in this game that I would say were from skills out. You know, Nigerians will say skill they cry as it is. But how would you say, how are you able to keep composure while playing at that moment, able to do all those skills in those crunch time moments?
Like you said, Fola is I think he's probably the most experienced player in that tournament. Yeah. So from years of experience, bro, like the composure day body, you understand? So he started the game very well. You know, I felt like his game plan was actually working till probably the 40th minute. Because he started the game with a lot of aggressiveness. You know, he was very, very direct. He just had blood on his mind. You know, you understand? And he got the game. He got the first goal very early. He should have made it 2 or 3, but I felt like chances did actually go his way. He was enjoying himself. He was doing a lot of skill move chaining, but towards the end of the game, he started to feel the pressure, when the game is not going your way, the pressure starts creeping in slowly, and I felt that's what happened. But Sadok couldn't take his chances, so overall.
Chuk Junior, just before I come back to the Italian Mafia, I'm still on Fola. At those moments when you are playing all these tight games, does skill come to your mind, Adam? Because I know those skills are used to evade some press, to eventually, because your opponent has to also think as fast as you while you're doing those skill moves. But does it come to play for you when you're playing in tournaments like this?
I would say it depends. But for Adefola and the kind of player he is, those skills are normal for him. Adefola is not a normal person. He's not a normal person. He's one of the most composed players. He plays the game like it's not even a tournament. Like the amount of passes he takes, he doesn't force. The attack does not feel forced. At the same time, he's attacking. He takes his time. He does his build-up. He wants you to know, I'm here to dominate you. I'm the better player here.
Yeah.
I'm in control of this game. That is how Fola plays you. So at every point, and it's not about him just killing. He does the skill when it needs to be done.
Exactly.
Very precise.
Very smooth.
Very precise. So he knows what he's doing. He's not showboating. He's not doing it because he can do it, but he does it because it is needed in that particular situation. Exactly. So for him, that is who he is. I don't think many players can do that under that kind of pressure.
Exactly.
He's just that kind of person.
That's really great. Coming back to Italian Mafia, some of the things you noted for Adefola was because looking at the game, there were certain teams people used at the tournament, like Ninth of Champions, France, Madrid, Germany, but Bochum, being the team that Adefola also big. One thing you noticed there was how he used his big attackers to bully Zadok. But how can you speak on that?
Yeah, that's where experience come into play, because I myself, I have not heard about that team before, so I felt like he did his homework very well, and if you see the sizes of his attackers, you know exactly why he used that team, because his attackers were actually bullying Madrid defenders, and Madrid, they don't really have those bulky defenders, except for maybe Rudiger, you understand? So his attackers were actually dominating in the game, so I felt like that was probably the reason he used that team.
Yeah, just to even look, control is something that is always needed in the game, and one thing we saw from Adefola, as you mentioned previously, was how he was able to control that game. Obviously, going 2 goals up is no small feat, because for you to be able to even get to the semi-final stages, you are a champion alone coming to the Ninth of Champions. But it also shows your high skill level. But how would you feel Adefola approached that game?
Like you said, Fola was one of the favorites, if not the favorites coming to that competition. And like I said earlier, his game plan was perfect. It was good, until the 40th minute, he started to miss chances. So I felt like the pressure started to creep in. And Zadok saw that, okay, I think he has time to get back into the game. But unfortunately, he couldn't, But Fola, he was in charge of the game for most parts of the first half. But the second half, I felt like the pressure got to him. He couldn't dominate. He was trying to be too safe, with his passes. And I felt like that was what just happened in the game,
Coming to you, Chuk Junior, Zadok is someone you've obviously played before. And one thing I would say I attribute to him a lot is how he analyzes the game, as we have spoken to you about. But how would you say he attacked this game, especially even going 2 goals down? What are the things you say you felt he did right here in this match, or the things you say he did wrong?
So for Zadok, AI as we know him, I think one of his strategy going into that match was to, during the early minutes of the game, try to understand what his opponent, being Fola, was bringing to him. And I mean, that's a good game plan. but when it goes against you, it is no longer a
You
good
drink
plan.
4 in like 2 minutes.
So conceding 2 goals was definitely not part of the plan.
Yes.
So, but one thing I noticed as the game went on was he got a hang of what Fola was doing, and he realized the pressure was finally getting to Fola. He got into the game and he gave a relentless amount of pressure to Fola, which he got a penalty from the process. He did not take advantage of. He also had some key moments,
Yeah, there was a
Got
chip.
to-
Remember there was a chip in the
there
first
was
half
a
that
chip.
he missed
He missed.
twice.
Yes, there was a particular one.
Even sorry to cut it there, Chooks. Even speaking about that chip, we saw that in the final of episode 8, where he had set a similar chance with against Elevation. He rushed to chip that ball. But at that moment, how do you guys approach you rushing at your keeper or the goalkeeper movement in the game when all those 1v1 chances come up?
For me, I would say scenarios like that are just based on you already deciding what you are going to do.
Yeah.
There are sometimes you are just like, because there's a scenario in the game whereby with Rodrigo, he had a chance that he could have chipped, but he took an heavy touch.
Yeah, extra touch.
Simply
yeah.
because scenarios like that have happened where he chipped and they played on his intelligence. So it was just a mind game thing. Adefola just came out at him, which on a normal what he would have done was just chip. But he was trying to, okay, let me play smart, let me get into the mind of. So it's just both of them trying to outsmart each other.
But I actually felt he was not even trying to do anything. He was just trying to rush the chance. I felt like that lack of composure from him actually played a part in that loss for him. He was not composed. He was just trying.
The
his press was good.
extra sprint was
Yeah,
where
that's
the
what I'm saying, lack of composure.
showed,
He's
yes.
always hurry, like rushing his chances. Like you need to settle down and you know.
I think one thing we can attribute to how Zadok plays is once he gets the ball or recovers the ball, he's always looking to trigger his wingers going forward. So he's looking for that quick, so that you don't have that time to think. But again, it's the 50-50 thing. If someone you are playing, as you mentioned, with the experience also coming on Adefola's side, if that person is also a quick thinker like you, they are able to counter those things out. And in the end, we saw Adefola picking up this one with the 2-1 win in the game. That's a great one from us here at the studio. Unfortunately, our gamers from outside Lagos were unable to book their slots in the final. King Nonex, the king of Benin, and Zadok AI, as we call him, the ChatGPT man, they might say, was unable to take that next step to actually get to the final of the 9th of Champions. Our 2 finalists are no small feats. They've been in the esports scene for a while, Mitch being someone who missed out on the last edition of the 9th of Champions because he had an exam. Coming back to prove that, yes, I should have won it then. We'll be bringing you the match analysis between Mitch and Adefola next. Stay tuned. Welcome to the final segment of the Phoenix Recap. Sadly, I have to allow my guests go, but firstly, we'll bring you the grand final between Mitch and Adefola. I could say this one is one for the ages. Italian Mafia, just speaking on both players, one thing I would say was very instrumental in the 9th of Champions, or something people might not look at it as something that is so big, but the implementation of coaches at the event.
Yeah.
How important would you say coaching is, and how would you say the chemistry is also important to the type of coach that you pick to come and coach you at tournaments like this?
All right. So first of all, I would say coaching at this level of esports, it's a must for me. Like imagine the Super Eagles now having a game and there's no coach inside there. Like it makes no sense. So at this level of the game of esports, it's actually a must. And when we're speaking about chemistry, I feel like your coach you should have a level of chemistry with your coach. Your coach should know the type of player you are, how you react under tensed moment or under pressure, your coach should be able to know your gameplay. You understand? And your coach should be able to look at your game, tell you when to switch up your tempo, when to calm the game down. You know, because the coaching, your coach sees different aspects of the game that you might not be able to see. You understand? I'll give you an instance. In a game I had with Beast, I think in the group stage, we're playing a game. We're both using a 4-2-3-1 wide formation. You understand? I think at one point of the game I was 3-1 up, and he started to attack me from my right position because my right back was unbalanced. And with the kind of experience I have, I know I should, after going up in the game, I should have put him on defend, you know. But maybe in that point of the game, I couldn't like, you know,
make
pause,
that decision.
make that decision.
Those are where you
yes,
like
that's
need
where
your coach to
and tell you,
just like an instruction,
pause the game, you know,
pause the game.
Switch that tactic.
It's time to see the game off.
Exactly. And if I had done that, I would probably have won that game. But he came back and he equalized me from that same position. The 2 goals he scored was from that position. So coaching plays a very
important.
Yeah.
Coming to you, Chuk Junior, we saw that you had the opportunity to coach Mr. Oga at the Ninth of Champions. Is that chemistry? Because I've one thing I heard from people here in the arena was when Boyd was coaching Mitch, was the dangerous twins. And we also know the kind of relationship Imaji has with Adefola also. But for you, how important was it for you to coach someone, and what's the experience you have with it?
So for me, I'll be like, my experience has to be my experience coaching, especially Mr. Oga. We go way back. Mr. Oga have been like my sparring partner for a while now, for a couple of years. And when it comes to different sectors of the game, growing into the game, while training, there's a lot of areas we work on together. So it's someone that I know coaching him is very easy for me because he knows when I'm giving this instruction at this point, he knows I've oversaw that category of the game that he probably didn't see.
Yeah.
There are points whereby there was a game with Michel. Michel was playing 4-5-1. He was on 4-2-3-1. The whole first half of the game, he wasn't attacking. Michel went 2 goals up. Yes. He wasn't able to break the midfield line. I told him, switch to 4-4-1-1. Put all your players on a more attacking role. Let them go beyond the midfield line of 5. Immediately, he had a goal, which shows that those little tactical, he got a lot of chances immediately. Okay. He took control of the game, the whole of second half. So those are like the positions that coach helps you develop your game from what it is. That might be the game changer that you just need that word, do this, do that. That's what you need under those situations like that.
If you look at the game, right, the final against Fola and Michel, it was actually a tactical decision that actually won that game.
Yes. Definitely.
For Michel. Because if you watch the game, Fola was in control of the game till like the 30th minute.
Yeah.
Because Michel was using a more conservative formation. Was it 4-5-1?
Yeah, he had to sit back. Yeah. He was on the defensive side.
He saw that the pressure was getting too much. He needed something to be done. So shout out to Boyd. You know, yeah, maybe his coach actually made.
We're calling him the good luck charm here because I think the only game he lost as a coach here, because he coached both King Nonex and Mitch here. I think the only game he lost here was the game between Mitch and King Nonex, because he had to pick one person to coach at that moment. Yeah. So I understand where you guys are coming from, and it's something that is really great that was implemented. Looking at the game in full view, one thing you noticed for Adefola Mafia was, you said something, he was doing everything right, but he wasn't getting that final moment properly. So how would you properly analyze that side from Adefola?
Yeah, Fola, I felt like he played his game well. He was getting to the box, like he got into the box a lot. You know, but that final decision was not there. But shout out to Mitch. his defense on that night was crazy. To keep a player like Adefola, like without him scoring a goal for 90 minutes.
I mean,
that's crazy.
it's
That's
not
crazy.
a new feat. It's not a new feat because I think in the just concluded Cade League
KD Sports League,
on foot smooth 9 minutes half,
9 minutes
Michel
half.
was able to keep him
Yeah.
from scoring as well. So these are both players are really familiar with themselves because on and before now, a fun fact: Fola have lost more game in the gaming scene to Michel, and Michel have lost more game in the gaming scene to Fola. So both of them have matched themselves over a crazy number
they are
of
quite
times.
familiar.
So they are
Actually,
so
they're-
familiar with their gameplay.
Even looking at the journey meanings also, there's the head-to-head for both players. Fola had beaten Mitchell in the final 3-1, but also Mitch also had an episode where he also beat Fola 5-1 also. So you could say that coming into that final, they had scores, so there will always be scores to settle. Definitely. Yeah. Just looking at Mitchell, one thing we'll say, we saw the tactical switch from him, and that brought about that first goal for him. But would you say, you mentioned one thing, I'll call him a clutch player because I don't think he played his best throughout, but you just like the game against Nonex, it was one chance, one goal. How clutch do you have to be when you're playing in a final?
Okay, for my own opinion, I feel like that is actually what separates the winner. You know, like that's what actually made him stand out. Because if you watch the game against Nonex, he had just one. I think Nonex had like five shots.
That was even an error.
Yeah, an error. Yeah, an error.
It
from
was an
Nonex.
half chance.
So that's where you know, he's a clutch player. Just one goal, one chance, one goal, one green time. And don't forget, Nonex also had a similar chance. I think in the 85 minutes, in 50 minutes, he had a trivela. If that was a green time, that would probably be a goal.
That was done. The game was done.
That was actually the decisive moment in that game. I felt that was where he lost the game.
Oh.
And if it was Michel, that chance,
most likely that was a done deal.
Because that was actually what made him stand out in the whole game, in the whole tournament as a whole. Because against Fola as well, Fola had a couple of chances, he missed. But Michel,
one of the first major chance he had in the game, that was the goal.
Exactly. So that was actually made a difference. Yeah.
If you just even speak a little on the positives for, we will say the entertainment that Adefola had for us on show in this final, skill upon skill. You were amazed when you saw those things. But how are you able to do those things even at moments where you are not even in the lead or you have not fully taken control of the game?
Okay, for me, I will speak from experience because, yes, I'm not actually a skillful player, but there are some certain points in the game, those skill moves are necessary. But Fola was not just doing a skill move, he was changing skills.
Definitely.
And that's crazy to do that at that level. Yeah. You understand? Like, especially at that pressure situation, it's crazy. Like, it shows
Fola is not a normal player.
It shows his level of I would say experience, not just experience, calmness.
Dedication,
like to comport yourself in that situation, bro.
To do that.
Nah, that's crazy. I won't lie.
And it was even a situation that actually needed the skill.
Exactly.
It wasn't a skill you shouldn't have done. It was that scenario needed that skill. Yeah, so to be able to do the exact skill when it's needed is another skill level that Adefola has act already.
Even coming back to Mitch, that's how we saw how clutch he was. He got the second goal, and in the end, our ultimate champion was crowned for this season of Ninth of Champions. But it's been a great journey up to this point, and 8 champions walked into this place. But we obviously had to have one ultimate champion. But the journey has not ended. This is just the beginning. This is just the surface that we just scratched right now. Looking into going into season 2, what are you guys looking forward to?
For me personally, I'm coming to settle scores. You understand? Because
Definitely.
there were some scenarios in the last season where I should have won, and I was obviously the better player, but circumstances.
Yeah.
You understand? Especially the game against Non-X. Not even the game against Flick. What am I saying? I dominated the whole game, but I lost. He had just one shot in the game, and he won. You understand? But that's FIFA. You understand? But definitely, I'll be coming back, to settle scores and at least, book my place in the Night of Champions.
That's really great. Chuk Jr., are you going to be coming back also?
Chooks is retired now. You can't
I'll think about it. I'll think about it, but so far so good. I love the way the FC26 game is, and I feel like the way I'm playing, I love the way I'm playing at the moment. I mean, there are a bit of elements of my gameplay that was taken out, but regardless, we'll find a way to to compete regardless.
FC26 is more of a possession game.
Yeah.
So it's actually going to favor the possessive kind of players, like maybe slow builders, slow build-up players.
Don't worry, I'll figure a way to input crossing. But one thing I'm sure is that the ground crosses.
Yeah, whipped, especially those whipped passes.
The ground cross is OP this year, so
I've seen that.
If we don't go up, we go down.
That's great. And now comes the end of the Phoenix recap, the tactical segments of the Night of Champions. It's been a great one here in the studio. My man, Italian Mafia, and Chooks Jr. also here with me. A lot of things are going to come up. We'll be updating you on every information you need to know about season 2 of the Journey Minutes. Keep your notification bells on. Subscribe and follow all our social media platforms. PSM_NG. That's where you need to be. Talent is going to be on show. With the Zadok and Non-X initiative also being introduced also. We're doing various things on that. So also update you on that. Just keep your notification bells on. Contents are going to drop a lot from PSM. Till then, stay tuned. And remember, life is a game. Press play.